Why study the ancient past? Because it gives us perspective.
You know, lesson in ancient history, but the IBM Selectric typewriter had this little ball with all the letters on it, and when you type...
Eons ago, when he had absolute power in ancient Roman times, and then walked away from it to go back to his farm.
Land with a wave of his hand. A Nyungar elder could whisper in her ancient language and compel me to know more.
Or your father, they may be so ancient in their thinking that they don't understand this opportunity.
In ancient days, men looked at the stars and saw their heroes in the constellations.
Mosques, in the churches, in the museums, in the ancient ruins that with a little background and help can come to life.
Were astronomical even when compared with ancient Mexico, the first line on the bottom.
Whereas the ancient religions let you laugh. You know, it was quite okay.
Around the throne, like an ancient courtroom, a court of the king.
Many of the other ancient meditation teachers, well, this is a quote by Buddha.
The perfect marriage of ancient shamanic wisdom and 21st century technology.
Forster made an automobile trip to visit ancient Indian ruins at the Canyon de Chelly. When their car ran out of gas in a remote...
in the same way that it did to the ancient Israelites. So most Christians who are
I read, she said, like, the burials were the ancient burials she'd seen on television. Well, because even though she lived...
But original, but very ancient, of 4th century literature.
Shepherding was obviously a metaphor in the ancient world that people understood in an agrarian society.
They knew that back in ancient Greece, right? But I don't think a lot of people...
History and how you see these ancient traditions on the role of the self.
And we see it in everything from studying ancient civilizations to studying biodiversity. When we're teaching stewardship...
How well you can work, how familiar, ancient and new.
In some ancient journey that didn't include me, and I was just
He's an expert on the history of ancient Chinese astronomy, the deputy director of the Institute. Then
incense to understand the worship of the ancient Jewish temple, or to learn
the Bible or the Quran, or you know, in ancient history. But modern history.
And Aldred in relationship to ancient Egyptian art. Aldred is a very, very significant.
By drawing on the model of ancient Athens, which sounds like a wonderful idea.
Well, it's the most ancient place that we still have access to.
Music, chamber music, recitals, orchestras, ancient music, but we're also
Even in ancient 7th century Arabia, the storyteller was valued more.
And our brains are ancient, you know.
Ancient Rome was a violent, vengeful place. Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, the 7th king, took power after...
Many believers were buried this way all over the ancient world around the Mediterranean. So it's very likely they put him in...
Heterogeneous selection of works, you know, from ancient objects to...
His death then fulfills ancient Old Testament predictions and patterns. His death is the theme of the New
Between ancient times and the Renaissance. Now,
I'm not brushed up on my ancient pronunciation, but this is a military